Hey, this is Jason Moss of Georgia Manufacturing Alliance, and we're on our book tour, and we're promoting the book that we recently released, Manufacturing Success in Georgia. And we're in Forest Park today, and we're here with the president and CEO of Pye-Barker, at Pye-Barker Engineered Solutions, and we're really excited to be talking to Eric. What we're going to do is we're going to ask Eric to give us a little bit of history and background about the company, tell us a little bit about what's going on currently, and also give us some insights on the future in the manufacturing space. You know, I know you guys are really excited to learn about what's going on in this company and how it might have an impact on your manufacturing operation. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss this over to you, Eric, and put you right on the spot. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us, again, your role with the company and how long have you been here?
Sure, Jason. First, I want to thank you for all your support of manufacturing work you do at the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance. I really appreciate that. Appreciate you stopping by to see us on this book tour. I'm excited about the book. It's great looking, and appreciate your work doing that. As far as I'm concerned, I've been at Pye-Barker going on 28 years now.
Oh, wow.
Now that's just that doesn't include high school time. That's just after I graduated college when I came to work here.
Okay.
Back in '92, I did spend. My dad had me here a couple of summers in high school doing some work. As far as the history of the company goes, Pye-Barker was founded by two Georgia Tech grads,
okay.
Mr. Pye and Mr. Barker. No less.
Right.
And they had found, or they were working with Goodyear, found a way to cut Goodyear conveyor belts to specific lengths, to slit them. Came up with a process, got with Goodyear, kind of took over that. And the next thing you know, they were supplying pretty much anything and everything to manufacturers in Atlanta, where they started. And they just started growing the company. We probably started in the late 60s, working with manufactured equipment, compressors, pumps, those kinds of engineered products. And that's about when my dad came on board, was after he graduated from Georgia Tech in '68.
Okay.
And
so that tech theme runs deep here.
It runs deep.
I
it runs
love
deep.
Love it.
So he started here and was part of a group that kind of formed the engineering division at that time. And we moved steadily and progressively in that engineered space. And then in the 80s, we got out of what they termed the mill supply space at that time. We had moved down here into Forest Park in '74. Previous to that, we were down on Pryor Street, and I think I mentioned in the book there's a MARTA station there.
Right.
The old story goes, now this was, in the 60s, 50s, we were down there in that space. The story goes that we had a corner lot, pane windows, sidewalks on the street, and two gentlemen who had gotten a little bit inebriated in the middle of the day had a fight, and one of them ended up being thrown through the pane glass window.
Really?
And that's why the owners decided to move out of downtown. Now, I don't know if that story is true or not.
It sounds like a good one.
It sounds like a good story, so I share the story. So we moved down here in '74. In the 80s, we made that transition from kind of mill supplies to full engineered solutions.
Okay.
We did keep the name Pye-Barker Supply Company, and in 2017, when I took over the company as president, I just got to thinking that we don't just supply, we really are a solutions provider, and it's engineered solutions. And so we made that transition in our name to Engineered Solutions.
Okay.
So that's kind of who we are as a company, where we've come from. We're just dedicated and committed to industry here in Georgia. Again, I started with the company in '92.
Okay.
And I've done, I think, almost everything except probably accounting at the company.
They keep you away from the numbers.
Yeah, they keep me away from the money.
I got you.
You know, I did a little bit of outside sales, inside sales, shipping and receiving, purchasing. When I spent those 2 summers here in high school, they had me cleaning parts, and they had me paint a little bit. I got a reputation as being the only person that could get 2 colors of paint out of 1 paint can. So they stopped letting me paint because it wasn't going well. But it was an interesting time back in the 90s. I really enjoyed making some sales calls on customers that had been with us for a long time.
Okay.
And they would say, "Lunsford, your dad, John Lunsford?" I'm like, "Yep, that's my dad." And he sold me this pump right here that's still working today. He sold that to me 30 years ago. So that was a great time when I was out in the field doing that. So again, did a little bit of everything. I didn't spend a whole lot of time out in the field doing sales, but have certainly been all over the insides of the office.
Yep. Yeah. Very cool.
And so today, I'm president and CEO.
Okay.
I have VP of Sales, Don Leus, who I think you've met.
Oh yeah.
Running our sales force, and so we just have a great team that we've assembled here. So
cool. Well, tell me a little bit, for those that are not familiar with your company. Tell
Sure.
me about what the products that you bring to the
yeah.
table. You know, and the menu. Who do you serve, and you know who? What are maybe some lines that people might not connect with you right off the bat when they think of your company?
Sure. So we have been a Viking pump distributor since the late 60s.
Okay.
They had an actual facility here in Georgia, in Atlanta.
Okay.
And we were selling, and they decided to move. It was a service center. They decided to move that service center back to their offices, and so we actually bought some of their equipment they were using and hired some of their employees. But we've been a Viking pump distributor since then.
Now, Viking pumps, what type of pumps?
Viking pump is an internal gear pump. They're probably the leader in that industry.
Okay.
Internal gear pumps. They also make spur gear pumps, mag drive pumps, vane pumps. They've got some great things happening in the food industry, and actually moving it outside of food as far as sealing technologies.
Right.
For liquids, they're really doing some nice stuff there. We're a Gardner Denver compressor distributor.
Okay.
We have been Gardner Denver since before I got here. It was in the 80s. Before that, we were Joy compressors. We've done Worthington compressors. Gardner Denver bought Joy, and that's how we became the Joy compressor distributor.
Okay.
So we've had that line for an incredibly long time.
So you got pumps and compressors. Those
got
are
blowers.
your 2 main lines.
Yep, and then we have the Gardner Denver blower line.
Sure.
So these would be pressure blowers as well as vacuum systems, vacuum pumps. These would be rotary lobe blowers, tri-lobe blowers, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I don't want to name drop, but Quick Treat is a big customer of ours on the blower side of things. They purchase a lot of blowers from us. As far as who we service, I hate to use the term really anybody in manufacturing, but I fail to find a plant that doesn't have a compressor, that doesn't have a pump. And if you got a compressor or a pump, then we can help you in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
We do all sorts of pumps, gear pumps, like I mentioned with Viking. We have air-operated diaphragm pumps, the Finnish Thompson line. We also sell the ARO line of pumps. We do submersible pumps, centrifugal pumps, Finnish Thompson again, True Flow, Trevini. We do FMC piston pumps.
Okay.
Sell a lot of those to Southwire, actually, out in Carrollton.
Yeah, Southwire's been a long time partner with GMA.
A long-time partner with Pye-Barker as well. So we're excited to be able to help them in their endeavors.
Now, do you see much transition for folks wanting to be able to local source? I mean, what's the importance of dealing with the local supplier as compared to, I can find it on the internet for $3 cheaper. I mean, I'm sure you probably run into that, especially through these times. I mean, I know
Yep.
COVID's impacted all of us in the way that we buy and that we look and that kind of thing. So why would somebody call you rather than just go try to dig around and try to figure out what they need online?
You know, that's a great question. We end up going in anyway. You know, you'd be surprised, especially if customers don't have experience. You know, maybe if they're buying a replacement for something and they want to say, oh, well, I just buy it $3 cheaper off of the internet and just put it in.
Right.
All right, maybe you got something there, but especially for new equipment, if you don't think about how something's going to be maintained, I can't tell you the number of times we get a call to do maintenance on a piece of equipment, and you can't get to it because the engineers who designed the layout and put it
Right.
in did not take into account how are we going to maintain this.
Oh.
Well, I got this big compressor and it's enclosed, and this door is supposed to open, but there's 6 inches between the door and the wall. Well, that means the door doesn't open.
Right.
So now my guy can't get in there to do whatever he's got to do.
Right.
Or a pump, you know, it's where it's located on the other side of some piping. You can't get to it to do anything.
Right.
As far as the equipment goes, you know, sometimes you don't need a new unit. Sometimes you need to think about, why did my unit fail? You know, what caused the problem? And something we're finding more today than probably we used to is, it's not that it failed, it's not applied properly, so it doesn't work, or the conditions of service have changed since I bought this
Right.
pump or blower. Well, now I don't need as big or as energy consuming a pump.
Right.
You know, I could use a smaller one and get the same results that I'm asking for now, but you know, because we bought it before,
efficiencies and that sort of thing.
right, right. So, you know, we bring that to bear. We can help you figure out, you know, do you really need a new pump, or do you need a replacement, or do you need to maybe reevaluate what you're asking of this piece of equipment?
Okay.
And again, Viking's doing some crazy things with sealing technologies, and maybe if you just changed the seal technology, then you don't need a new pump.
Right.
You know, it just depends. You know, everything's situational, but if you don't have that experience, we've been working with pumps and air compressors, like I said, since the 60s.
Yeah.
We've seen it all, and our guys are experienced. We got fully 200 years of industrial experience when it comes to applying and maintaining and moving whatever that is.
So that's where the engineered solutions comes in. It's
Yep.
you're not just catalog where you're just ordering parts. I mean,
Right.
you can order it if you know exactly what you need. You just want to replace a component, but to be able to dig in and talk to an expert
Yep.
in the field, trying to figure out, is this the best application?
Yes.
You know, that's what. Yeah, working with the industry leaders, that's a piece that I often hear. You know, people tend to be comfortable with paying a little bit more to know that they've got the warranty. I mean, I know even with setting up this rig, you know, setting up the cameras and lights and all the stuff, right? You can order things through Amazon and maybe get a 5 or 10% discount, but they're not warranted, you know, and if it's not warranted from the factory, then it's 100% loss if it doesn't work.
And if you buy it off the internet,
Right.
and you put it in, and there's any problem, that the internet is either going to say we're sorry or send it back.
Yep.
Whereas Pye-Barker, we're going to have a guy on site figuring out what the issue is. And so you don't get that kind of support when you buy off the internet if there's an issue, you know. And unfortunately, you know, I know you want to talk about the future of industry and manufacturing, and I don't mean to jump the gun on that, but this leads into that. Unfortunately, what we're seeing, and probably what I feel is the greatest challenge to manufacturing, is retirement. I think I heard somebody call it the Silver Tsunami.
I hadn't heard that yet. I'm going to use that.
I heard it and I was like, what is that? So as I listened to the podcast, I realized what they were talking about. But, you know, we're getting a lot of people retiring out, and unfortunately, they're not being replaced.
Right.
by people with experience. And if you don't have that, what are you going to do when that pump you bought for $3 less on the internet's not working?
Right.
Who's going to fix it?
Right.
And it could be something. It could be something as simple as the alignment's off, or I don't want to speculate too much, but some rotation got set wrong, or a clearance is just off a little bit. But if the guy doesn't, if the maintenance tech doesn't know it on site, somebody's got to come and look at that, and that's we can help with that before you even put it in. So that you don't have that maintenance delay.
Finding those partners like that are really in it for you. To find whatever the solution is, that's a big deal, and it's hard to find that these days. And so we talked a little bit about the past, a little bit about your history and about the company's history, which is cool. A little bit about what's going on right now. One of the big things that we're finding on this tour is manufacturers and industry leaders from all across are telling us that there's three big buckets that they're having challenges with. Number one, workforce, finding folks that'll show up every day and pass a drug test, right? So most every day. Number two is supply chain, and number three is business development. We host the manufacturing summit, and typically we have a pretty good crowd show up for that. We didn't do it in 2020. We're not going to do one in 2021. We're looking maybe 22 to kick that back off. But a lot of industrial sales, and B2B sales were conducted through trade shows, and we found that now trade shows, they're coming back on. Man, I went to the Design to Part show a few weeks ago. Dude, it looked like nothing had changed. The aisles were packed. There wasn't a mask in sight, and people were just hungry to be back together again. So I think that's coming back online, but there's still this gap from the time, orders typically were replaced for product development, that kind of thing. So what are you guys seeing? What of those three, which would you say is biggest impact on you?
Mercy sakes. Biggest impact, it's going to be the supply chain logistics, or the personnel, the workforce. And I was talking to my wife just last week, and I said, I could hire 5 people right now if I could find them. If I could find them. We have positions, and we just finding those people that, like you said, are willing to show up and go to work.
Now are those positions posted on your website? If somebody's listening to this session today, how would they find out about that? How would they reach out to you guys?
Well, and that's a great question. We do work basically through recruiters. We are starting to try to work with some of the local technical colleges to put jobs on their jobs boards, because they've moved away from career fairs currently. So hopefully they'll be back doing career fairs soon. But so we put some stuff out there. We use Indeed to post for job openings. Supply chain is tough. We certainly, deliveries were really bad last summer. They got better, but now it's price increases because my suppliers are having delivery problems. They're not able to get everything, and what they can put their hands on is starting to go up in price. So that supply chain is really hindering us right now. We're seeing all the indicators that things are coming back. Like you said, the trade shows, but we're seeing a lot of activity on quotes and orders picking up. Businesses are starting to open their doors a little more to sales guys coming in and working with them, with my engineers being able to work with them.
Spell for a lot of sales guys, I know that.
Long time. And even in the heat of it last year, certainly there was some maintenance that didn't get done, because if it's not broken down, we weren't allowed in. So we had probably about 2 months where maintenance activity was just almost non-existent. Because even though the customers were running, if the machine wasn't broke, they didn't want anybody extra in the plant. So but that's that opened up fairly quickly. It's the other side, the talking to the engineers and trying to figure out how else we can help people and make sure their processes are running.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We're in the events business. I mean, we're an association, right? But we're as much in the events business as anything. I mean, we were doing, pre-COVID, we were doing 120 events a year.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's
man.
a lot.
I don't care where you're from. 120 events a year is a bunch. And we would tour everything from Gulfstream to Caterpillar to Bluebird Bus. We love transportation a lot, of course. But even to King's Hawaiian. And people would say, man, well, what's the similarity between a King's Hawaiian dinner roll and a $70 million business class aircraft?
Yeah.
Well, it's still manufacturing. It's converting a raw product into a finished good using a machine.
Yep.
And people can learn from each other. And GMA was really built around helping industry professionals go in and see manufacturing processes outside of their space, so they could learn those best practices and build good, solid relationships with other leaders. So that's sort of the foundation of GMA. But COVID showed up, right? And kind of put a cease on that. We went from doing 120 events a year. We actually did 132 events during 2020, but most all of them were virtual.
Yeah.
Dude, when this thing kicked off, we were doing 3 a day.
Yes.
Right out of the chute, because people were calling me saying, "Hey, man, are we essential?" I'm like, "Look essential to me." Not that I had any authority in that conversation at all, but I'm like, if you're a manufacturer, I deem you essential.
Yes.
Keep working, right?
Keep going.
But we were, people were struggling trying to figure out PPE and PPP and all the bits and pieces. It's fun to be able to give back that way, but it was different. It was not the normal in the community. And that's part of the reason that we're doing this book tour now, through June and July. It gave us the opportunity to get the book finished and published and all the bits and pieces.
Yep.
Gave us the opportunity to get this RV rigged up and, wired up. And so it's been we tried to take full advantage of the time that we had, like a lot of the manufacturers and suppliers have. So with that, what we're doing is June and July, we think it's going to be still a little light for folks opening up factories to bring in groups. But we know that in August, September, we're beginning to stack up a fair amount of backlog to be able to get back into factories, because people want to go see, and they, manufacturers love to go show off too.
Yes, they do.
Which is cool.
Yes, they do.
So that's a little bit of a reason where we're at. But what are you seeing as far as people coming back to being able to open up for sales folks coming back in? What are you getting much feedback on that?
Yeah. Like I said, we're our sales force is seeing an increase in the number of face-to-face that they're getting.
Yay.
Which is a great thing. And like I said, we've certainly seen an increase in quotes and order activities. So people are asking more. One of the things that I think we're going to see more of that COVID kind of pushed along. And it moves along with this silver tsunami, so to speak, is I think you're going to see in manufacturing a really big push for, there's so many terms, remote monitoring, condition monitoring, the Internet of Things, there's going to be fewer maintenance guys available. And manufacturers are going to have to do more with less.
Right.
Certainly, they can call me, and my guys will come in and help.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see manufacturers pushing really to make sure that all of their primary assets and even what we might call secondary assets are being monitored enough that I can tell my maintenance guy, don't worry about that one.
Right.
Go take care of this other one. That one's fine. Don't touch it. Just leave it alone. Let it run.
You see predictive analytics coming in to really look at equipment, machine life cycles, and maintenance and that sort of thing.
Maintenance, how it's running. Is it all of a sudden? Is it all of a sudden vibrating weird? Is it the temperature fluctuations? I think that kind of remote monitoring is really going to be key to manufacturing in the future as we see kind of a decline in manpower on the maintenance side of things.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Well, I tell you, this is exactly what we were hoping to do today. I mean, I wanted to dig a little bit, and I want you to break out that crystal ball.
All right.
Right. So I love to pick industry leaders' minds around what's next. You know,
Sure.
what do you see in the next, say, 3 to 5 years? I mean, I know that we're talking about transitioning to do more predictive analytics to make sure that we maximize what maintenance guys we have, because there are a lot less of them today.
Yep.
But what are some of the things that you see outside of that? What are some of the trends that you think we need to be looking out for in the supply side? You know, I mean, transportation is a huge issue.
Yeah.
Being able, to figure out a way to fix the supply side. Are you seeing any bright spots there?
I don't know that I have anything that's not been said by other people, because certainly COVID has taught us that too much global logistics has such a huge effect on the local supply. So
Yes,
I think one of the trends is it's not going to be a move away from kind of the global supply chain, but I certainly think it's going to be a redefining maybe of what the local supply chain looks like. How much inventory are we keeping locally? What's being developed locally? What's being sourced locally? And I think you'll see manufacturing increase their U.S. presence.
Okay.
Because, when it's overseas manufacturing, but then you can't get it over here, it doesn't
So you
matter.
think we're going to be bringing onshore and a lot more?
A lot
product?
more. I'd like to see it, because certainly I like to see manufacturing come to
Yeah.
Georgia. But I don't know if it'll be a lot more, but I certainly think we'll see an uptick.
Okay.
In like I said, U.S. based manufacturing, some people moving some stuff back home. Maybe it becomes a little bit maybe more partial, like a manufacturer says, okay, this is critical.
Right.
We need this here, but this other piece is not critical. We can leave it offshore somewhere.
Okay.
So that's one trend that I think we're going to see, is just kind of that uptick in some local manufacturing.
Okay.
And then I mentioned the kind of predictive analytics, the performance management, asset management.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's definitely going to be an uptick.
Okay.
I think those probably would be my two big trends.
Right.
I think manufacturing has a good, healthy future, and I'm hoping a lot of it will be healthy in Georgia.
Right. I got you. Well, I tell you, with this new generation, we talked about the younger generation coming through. It's a tough spot to be in a sales and operations planning role.
Yeah.
You couldn't have planned for this, right?
No.
This is there's no way nobody could, and for them to be able to figure out what's next steps, that's a big piece. But as the buyers kind of age out as well, what do you see as far as your guys' company going to increase your e-commerce, so that people can, if they know the part, so that they're not tying up the resources with your company? Is that an area that you guys are trying to bolster your e-commerce B2B side? Is that something that's on the radar for you?
It's on the radar, and it's something that we're actually starting this month with starting to put some of that e-commerce online stuff in place.
Okay.
That
doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't. And as an engineered solutions provider, we have to make sure our customers understand that when you want a replacement, sometimes you don't need a replacement. If they just go online and buy,
Right.
then we really haven't had a chance to
Sure.
make sure they're getting their money's worth.
Right.
In that, do they need a replacement? Do they need to upsize? Can
Yeah.
they downsize? And still get that same efficiency or the same product or flow that they're looking for.
Right.
I don't know how many times we'll go into a plant and do an air audit of the compressed air system.
Okay.
Because the customer's like, I need a new air compressor or a bigger air compressor, And we go in and do an air audit, and we're like, well, no, you really don't.
You just need less leaks.
You just less leaks, and maybe we time or two we've said, you could actually get by with a smaller air compressor and maybe a nice big storage tank, and less leaks, and you'd be good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't have those extra eyes looking in and helping,
that's that value add.
it really is.
Yeah.
It really is the value add.
Very cool.
So.
Well, so we got some people that are, there's a lot of folks that are in transition right now. The unemployment piece is kind of wrapping up in Georgia, which, there's a lot of conversation around that. We won't get into that today.
Nope.
But since that's happening, there's people that had previous careers in industries that may not be coming back like they had, like they were expecting. So, the hospitality industry, man, they took a hit, and I don't know that they're coming back. Retail, there's, that's gonna be different. We can't help that. So part of what we're trying to do on this tour is to identify the companies that are looking, to hire, that's got open positions. You said you got 5 open slots. Talk to people about what a career in the manufacturing industry could look like, because a lot of people got that I Love Lucy mindset where they kind of running down a conveyor line eating chocolates.
Yep.
But what are some of the things that people or your experience? You've been in the manufacturing space for quite some time. What would you recommend for people to consider or look at that are toying with the idea about manufacturing as a career path?
So all I can do is speak from experience.
Okay.
And I'll speak to some comments that I hear from my service techs. Every day, they are in a new plant, looking at different ways that things get made.
Nice.
For them, for my field guys, they go out, they work on a piece of equipment, but while they're there, the exposure to manufacturing that they get, seeing all the different items that get made here in Georgia and in Florida now. I've said Georgia, but we were in Florida as of last year. Just that exposure, it's not the same thing day in and day out.
Okay.
The same thing. They get to experience so many different environments, and technologies. Going into different plants. I mean, some plants here in Georgia, they are roboted out. They got robots everywhere.
Absolutely.
And some plants, it's still a lot of hands doing the moving. So it's
funny to see such the diversity in manufacturing. Like you said, sometimes it's 100% automated, and sometimes it's none.
It's none automated. None automated. So, if somebody's looking at the manufacturing industry, I think there's great opportunity, and it can be a lot of fun when you see how things are made, and when you have a chance to be part of that, part of making that widget at the end of the day. There's a lot to be said for that.
One of my favorite shows is How It's Made, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you get to live a career
in
Pye-Barker. You can get a career of learning to be able to go in and see how things are made and have an opportunity to influence them to be more successful and more productive.
Yes.
And having an impact on that. It's not just selling parts, right?
Yep.
It's being able to partner with these companies, because there are, we've got over 10,000 manufacturing facilities in the state of Georgia.
Yes.
Man, that's a lot.
That's
and the average consumer can't name 3 things that are made here, which drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But we get to go out and see these facilities, and I'm still amazed every day. I mean, I have not gone to all 10,000 facilities yet, but I'm working on it.
You're going to start putting little numbers, little tick marks on the side of your RV.
So, but we're, just raising awareness of what's out there, what the opportunities are, and, good, stable, steady careers. That's one of the pieces that I was really, I was kind of shocked by. People were so, and there's very few manufacturers that were down. If
Yeah.
they were producing,
Yeah,
they were producing. We're just down the street from one of our buddies, Clorox. Now those cats were producing.
they were. They were. They
so
didn't
they
stop.
were wearing that asphalt out, hauling those trucks out.
They did not stop.
And they have not slowed down a lot. It doesn't sound like either, but there's so many things right here in their backyard that are made. Great careers,
Yeah.
like you've been able to enjoy, good paying, solid jobs with good benefits.
Yep.
So if you're out there thinking maybe what's this manufacturing thing all about, dig in a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I think there's a great opportunity for that.
Absolutely.
So with that, what as we wrap this thing up,
Sure.
tell me what's your what would you like to share with the folks out there in the GMA world and beyond?
I think I've said most everything because again, I'm excited about manufacturing here in Georgia. I'm excited about what GMA has been able to do and promote. Certainly, I'm looking forward to growing from 10,000 to 15,000 manufacturers here in Georgia. That'd be exciting. So it's a good time.
Yeah.
It's a good time. It's we're coming out of COVID. Surely one of the most trying times I think anybody in just about any generation's had to deal with. But it's good times.
Very cool.
Good time for manufacturing.
I love it. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us today. I will tell you guys a couple things. Shameless plug. If you have not done this so far, go online to manufacturingsuccessingeorgia.com. On there, you'll be able to see a list of events that we've had scheduled, some of the interviews that we've done throughout the state. If you look back here, this is not the back of the book. This is the front of the book, depending on how you're holding it. But if you notice, our buddies here at Pye-Barker were a sponsor and supporter of making this book a reality. And we really appreciate you doing that. We've actually got on page 129,
Yep.
there's a section that tells a little bit about the history, so we'll be able to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's a neat story telling the history of these companies. I've learned so much about manufacturers and where they came from and what they do. This is the, I guess, one of the old original road signs, market signs. But it tells a really, really neat story because manufacturing is not always about the products. It's about the people and the stories behind them, man. It's really cool history.
Yep.
So go online, order today. If you order a book online, send us an email. We have a behind-the-scenes video that is only for people that have purchased a book and have one in hand, because you'll be asked for a special cookie or code that's in the book that nobody knows about. And we'll give you a link to a video that I did with Diane Wilcox, which is my co-author on the book, that tells the backstory behind the book. It's a very fascinating story behind the book, COVID and some COVID crazies and all sorts of stuff behind that. But pretty fun interview. That'll be posted within the next couple of days. So make sure you go online, order your book. And I would love for you to share in the comments, and if you're watching this on social media, share in the comments what you like best about what you've heard through this interview and some of the others. If you have any specific questions, be comfortable to reach out to us at GeorgiaManufacturingAlliance.com. Just reach out to us. We'll get those questions answered. And with that, Eric will be able to ask if you got any specific questions. You can reach out
Absolutely.
to him. Now, tell me what's your website again? What's the easiest way for people to get a hold of you?
Easiest way is Pye-Barker.com.
Okay.
Pyebarker.com.
Okay.
And I'm on LinkedIn, and you can look me up there. But that's the easiest way.
Cool. And keep an eye out for these guys, because they'll be joining us on a lot of the upcoming tours and events that we've got lined up. We do have a pretty rich schedule lined up for the balance of June and July. So if you hadn't registered, we will have some of those tours that will be open to the public. Registration is required for all of those for sure. But with that, guys, it has been another great day at GMA. We're going to sign off for now, and we'll look forward to seeing you at upcoming events.